At a time when people get cancelled for simply telling the truth, a brave British lawyer has come out to fully expose the European Union and the Westminster establishment over how they've implemented Brexit Britain. Stephen Barrett, a British lawyer, barrister who has been quite robust and was on GB News talking to Tom Harwood about the so-called EU laws inside the UK. So we have done Brexit. We are no longer an official member of the European Union, but we still have thousands of EU laws in our country. So we are essentially still tied to EU laws. And there's been this debate for the past few years, but especially the last few months, about removing them. And you have civil servants complaining, you have the European Union complaining, you have every single politico complaining in the Westminster bubble. But Stephen Barrett, I'm going to put up the actual interview that he did with Tom Harwood on GB News, and he simply told the truth, which is a lot simpler than we thought. Watch this.
You've been looking at this case in detail. I read your piece a few days ago on it. What's your overarching view as to whether or not it's possible for these 4,000 laws to be reviewed and potentially abolished in such a short space of time?
Well, to be perfectly honest, Tom, I could do it in under a year. A professional law firm could probably do it in a month. I mean, what we're talking about here is a very basic exercise, and it really does just go to your ability as a lawyer. You're looking at all these laws. They say now that there are 4,000. They had an initial review where they found 2,500, but 10% of them had been deleted anyway. And then they say that the Office of National Statistics has found another 1,400. I've linked in my article to the publicly available sources, but all professional lawyers, or most of us, have a subscription to a professional service. I won't name it because I'm not advertising for it, but it's a very common service, and it's got a system where you can identify all of these retained EU laws. So we do know what they are. They're not mystery laws. A lot of them are not very exciting, but the exercise itself is not that dramatic. You're just going through them and you're putting them into three categories. You're saying, doesn't do anything, Minister, let's just get rid of it. You know, we're saying, might be quite interesting, Minister, I'm not sure. And you're saying, oh, Minister, actually, this looks pretty juicy. We probably need this in our law. And there's a provision in the bill that the Minister then extends the life of that law. So this deadline of the end of this year, of the end of 2023, ministers have the power to extend it by effectively just over 3 years to June 2026. Now, that is, again, a pretty basic thing for any lawyer to be doing. There are 16 departments who are dealing with this. And it doesn't strike me as something that really is in any way impossible. And one of the things that we've seen since the Brexit referendum, and certainly since I started commenting in the media, is the way that people will invoke law, almost like a sort of Harry Potter magic spell, to stop things happening that they don't like. And it's easy to see why, and I linked in my article to a major Conservative Party donor and fellow member of the House of Lords, Lord Cruddas, who instantly saw this as a conspiracy to stop Brexit. You can see why people reach that conclusion. If the alternative is that our civil service is not capable of reviewing these 4,000 laws and putting them into one of three separate piles, then that itself is quite a distressing conclusion.
Absolutely spot on. Stephen Barrett, barrister, as I said, at best, it's basic incompetence of big government. At worst, it's what we've been saying, that there is some sort of, on a basic level, conspiracy from those inside the establishment who want to try their best for Brexit Britain to not fully happen. And if what he says is fully true about the simplicity of, not fully to make it that simple, but in regards to sorting out the categories of these laws, then we could say, as I said, the size of government matters, and bureaucracy is becoming more complicated because the size of government is getting bigger. And as I always say, Size, when it comes to British politics and when it comes to business and politics, size matters. Small is good, big is bad. And it's easier to manage a small local town and village and community than a massive metropolitan urban city. It's a lot easier to do localism than centralizing all powers. And of course, it's a lot easier to sort out any industry if you have smaller businesses involved rather than big corporations. But at worst, it is true that there are elements of rejoiners and Remoaners inside the British civil service. Are we going to do anything about it? I'm not sure. Are we going to have any brave politician actually standing up and genuinely do drain the swamp of the establishment? Or are we just going to get the same rhetoric every single time, especially during election times? It's Boris Johnson's 2019 election all over again. Now, let me know what you think. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.